We're now going to look at a more advanced absolute value problem. What makes this more advanced is that the absolute value right here is not all by itself on its own side of the equal sign. It has this -10. So let me just go ahead and show you. I'm going to write the absolute value in green. You could use your highlighter to just highlight the entire absolute value, and then I'm going to write everything else in pink. So you see this absolute value needs to be by itself before I can create two equations from it. So to get the green part by itself, I need to move this -10. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides of the equation. So that will leave me with the absolute value of 3x plus 9 equals 6. Now the absolute value is completely by itself. So now you're ready to go ahead and determine if there's no solution or if you can split it into two problems. Since it equals a positive number, it's ready to go. So you're going to create two equations. 3x plus 9 equals 6, and 3x plus 9 equals -6. From there, go ahead and solve the two equations and see if you can come up with your two answers. All right, so you are going to subtract 9 and get 3x equals -3, and then you will divide by 3 and get -1. Over here, we'll subtract 9. We get 3x equals -15, divide by 3, and you get -5. So your answers are -1 and -5. Go ahead and try this problem. First, before you begin, you need to rewrite the equation getting the absolute value by itself. Then, if it is equal to a positive number, you're ready to start your two equations. All right, so when I did this, I got x equals 6 and x equals -2. Let's go ahead and see how. First off, I need to get this set of absolute value bars by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 5 from both sides. That leaves me with absolute value of x minus 2 equals 4. Now the absolute value is all by itself on one side of the equal sign. So it equals a positive number, which means there are going to be solutions, and you can set up your two equations, making the x minus 2 equal to 4 and the x minus 2 equal to -4. From there, you solve just like normal. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, and that's where my x equals 6 came from, and add 2 to both sides, and that's where I got x equals -2. Let's go ahead and look at example 2c. All right, so on 2c, we still need to get this absolute value bar all by itself. So on the outside, the absolute value is a 4. The 4 is multiplying with the absolute value. How do you think you're going to move the 4 to the other side? Hopefully you said divide, because if it's multiplying, the inverse operation of multiplying is division. It's like the opposite. So when we divide by 4, we're left with the absolute value of 2x plus 7, and on the other side, we get equals 4. From there, go ahead and determine what your two equations are going to be. All right, your two equations are going to be 2x plus 7 equals 4 and 2x plus 7 equals -4. Let's go ahead and solve. We subtract 7 from both sides. That's -3, and then we divide by 2. We can leave it as -3 over 2 or as -1.5. Either answer is okay. On this side, we subtract 7. We get 2x equals -11. We divide by 2. We can leave our answer as -11 over 2 or -5.5, which is the decimal form. Example D is more complicated. The reason it's more complicated is because there are several things happening on that absolute value. I would encourage you to go ahead and highlight the absolute value, including the symbols of absolute value of 5x minus 1 that I just wrote in green. I did that just so you could see it stand out. So that's the absolute value I need to get by itself. So think about it this way. If I had written -2x minus 3 equals -11, you should know by now that we would add the 3 to both sides first. That's the same with this. You're trying to get this absolute value alone. So first you need to add or subtract and then multiply or divide. So we're going to add the 3 first. And what that does is it leaves me with negative 2, absolute value of 5x minus 1, equals negative 8. Now, don't just say that this is no solution because it equals a negative. You cannot make that determination until the absolute value is all by itself. So now we're going to move the negative 2. It's negative 2 times the absolute value. So the inverse of multiplying would be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. So now I have the absolute value of 5x minus 1 equals 4. All right, and we are ready to split into 2 equations. 5x minus 1 equals 4, and 5x minus 1 equals negative 4. There are solutions because the absolute value equaled a positive number. If it had equaled a negative number at this point where the absolute value is by itself, that's when I could have said no solution. But since it does equal a positive, I can continue solving. So I'm going to add the 1, and I get 5x equals 5, and divide by 5. So x equals 1. That's one solution. And over here, I'm going to add the 1. I'm going to go ahead and move here so you can see it better. And I get 5x equals negative 3. I'll divide by 5. So I get x equals negative 3/5. And those are my 2 solutions.